Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kumar Achanta, and I'm a professional speaker. I work with individuals and organizations so that they can move to action. So basically, I help people become action takers rather than remaining procrastinators. Have you been procrastinating and delaying things? Then I think I'm going to help you with that. All right, today I'm really excited. This Saturday and this weekend. I think when we talk about the weekends and holidays, I know these days everybody is working from home, but there are certain people in our country who are working 365 days without even having a weekend, right? And the reason that you're going to bed every night peacefully is because of these people, and I salute them. That's nothing but our Army, Navy, and Air Force. Today, I'm going to welcome my very good friend, who is part of Professional Speakers Association of India, Colonel Tarun Kumar. Colonel, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Fantastic. And so, people, whoever is watching, if you could type in the comments saying hi and let us know that you're watching. I already see that 3 people have joined. So, if you could just tell your name, or if you could just type hi, I will know your name and let me know where are you watching from, right? Because today's conversation is going to be fantastic. It's about leadership the Army way, right? So, let me introduce you to my very good friend, who was a ex-army colonel, and he is he calls himself force multipliers, and he helps people transform lives, right? So Tarun Kumar is dedicated military officer with a career spanning close to 3 decades of roller coaster ride, be it fighting insurgents in the valleys of Jammu and Kashmir, India, or rebels on the west coast of Africa, Sierra Leone. His never say die approach manifested in him surviving grievous multiple splinter injuries at the highest battlefield in the world, which is Siachen Glacier. So, apart from being an army personnel and a colonel, he's a prolific speaker, he's a certified coach, influencer, motivator, and he has done his MBA in human resources. He's a security consultant. Tarun believes that we all have the potential to be a leader, but our capacity to lead is buried under our lack of belief. Therefore, what we require is the right attitude supported by a robust belief system, and the world is waiting for a new leader to emerge. So, leadership the Army way. Do you have it in you? So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help me welcome Tarun Kumar, Colonel Tarun Kumar. Tarun, welcome to this Facebook Live. Ram, thank you so much for watching. Welcome to this Facebook Live, Tarun. I'm really privileged to have you here on this amazing conversation.
Kumar, I would say that not taking anything away from you, the privilege is singularly mine. And thanks for giving me this platform to express my views, and we can have a wonderful conversation on whatever you thought about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just raring to go ahead.
Fantastic, fantastic. Before we go ahead, Tarun, before we going live, we were having a conversation, right? When I said Jai Hind, you said this is done in Army, and this is done in Air Force or Navy. Can you please explain why it is done like that? The salute that you do.
Salute is the form of expression. So, like in Indian culture, we do namaste. In soldiering, you salute. Now, salute has a lot of component of self-discipline and drill put together.
Right.
Our drill ustads, our drill instructors in military academies, they grill us to no end to get the right posture and the right manner. While
Right.
we in the army, when we do our salute, Kumar, what we do is that we show the open palm. Your
Okay.
elbow is raised and your shoulder with the extended elbow is parallel to the ground.
Okay.
And your palms and they are just touching the tip of your eyebrow. So generally when we are wearing our berets or our pea caps, depending upon the kind of ceremony or the kind of event that it is. We have various types of uniforms. So it is very important that you salute right, because if you don't salute right, actually you are not even half a soldier.
Oh my God. That's good thing to learn. Thank you so much, Abhiram, Ram, and Jashwant for joining. Jashwant says, "Nice to see you, sir. Your inspiration to youth of today is very important. Colonel Tarun Kumar, sir, proud of you." That's what Jashwant says. And Naveen Kumar has just joined. He says, "Welcome, Tarun, sir." Yes, and today's conversation is going to be exciting. So stay till the end and listen what is leadership about in the army way. All right, Tarun. My first question to you is, how do you define a leader? Does perfect leadership even exist?
Well, Kumar, it's such a simple question, and yet it continues to vex popular consultants and lay people alike. Leadership has got nothing to do with seniority or one's position in the hierarchy of an organization. People talk about companies' leadership while referring to the senior most executive in the organization, isn't it?
Yes.
They are just that, senior executives. Leadership doesn't automatically happen when you reach a certain pay grade. Hopefully, you find it there, but there are no guarantees. To me, leadership is all about people. In most of my talks, I stress on the need that there is no need to have a title if you want to lead. You can be a leader in your community, in your place of worship, in your place of work, in your neighborhood, even in your family, all
Right.
without having a title. Kumar, most of the time when we hear the word leader, what is the kind of uh, image comes to you? You think of a person who is domineering, take charge, charismatic individual, isn't it?
Yes.
If we
Yes.
go back in our history, or if we go back and we start closing our eyes, start thinking about people, whom do we think? We think of a field marshal, maybe a
Yes.
general, a president, head of a state.
Right.
Leadership is not about being an adjective. Leadership is all about action. It is not about position or title. It is all about action and example.
Super.
Now, when you talk about leadership and you say that, does a perfect leadership exist? I will only say a couple of words about it.
Hmm.
Somerset Maugham, the renowned literate, he said that there are three rules of creating good leaders. Unfortunately, no one knows what they are. In this world, there are no perfect leaders. That's my take.
Right.
But yes, there are good leaders. And why they are good leaders or how they are good leaders is because they are continuously trying to improve. And how do you improve? You improve through self study, through
Right.
learning, through interaction, through training, through mentorship, by making mistakes, and by learning through those mistakes. That's what experience is all about. So it is very important for all of us to understand that it is very hard to build a leadership model. And hence, you find that there are so many leadership models which are existing today. So there
Correct.
is nothing perfect. You can have something that is most suited for you. But as you brought about a very important aspect during our opening conversations, you said, I believe that leadership is all about your belief. It
Correct.
addresses the root of your belief system, because your attitude is inherent to your belief system. You are nothing, or you are nothing beyond your own belief system. I am a product of my belief system. You are a product of your belief system. We all are product of our own belief system. So a leader is one who believes in his own ability to lead. Period.
Super. Super. Wow. Leader who believes in himself to lead effectively. That's a powerful answer that he gave. Uh, as you said, there are so many, leadership, what do you call, formulas or patterns or whatever you call it. Can leadership be taught, or is it a inborn quality? Kan?
Uh, I would I would compliment you for a good question. Well,
Thank you.
there is an old saying that some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. And so
Mm,
is true for leadership. Kumar, leadership is something that you can work upon and you can develop over time. But as I said, that the seed of leadership is inherent in every individual.
right.
We are all inherently having this seed of leadership. Whether we want to be a leader is a choice that we have to make. And we are governed by our choices in our lives. You and me are product of the choices that we made. And we are the result of those choices, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there are a whole lot of aspects of leadership that require practice. If I would talk about some important leaders of the century, let's take a couple of names: Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King. You tell me, honestly, did they go to any leadership class?
No.
Did they ever went to New York Center and attended some of the top leadership coaches giving them a discourse or a seminar on how to be an effective leader? Did they
No.
ever read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which happens to be the Amazon's all-time bestseller? No. Leadership is all about you having a belief, you having this innate desire for you to do something for your fellow beings. When
Super.
you take that additional step and when you say that, I'm going to be a quiet performer, but at the same time, let me do something for my society, for my community, for the general good of people, that is the time when your leadership quality starts emerging. And its age is not a number. So it is not necessary that when you reach a particular age, you become a leader. I have come across leaders who have proved themselves while they were just 16 years, 18 years, something which a 35-year-old individual or an adult couldn't dream of or couldn't take that plunge. The 16-year-old boy did. So leadership is not guided by age, number, experience. Leadership is not suspect to people having a lot of good associations, bad associations, going to certain forums, trying to network with that kind of people. Yes, it helps people. But leadership is inherent in us, and we have to explore ourselves, our inner beliefs, to reach that level of influence. So, leadership, in simple terms, is the ability, it is a social influence in which we create an influence on others, through others, for others, and in doing so, we achieve a common objective or a goal. So
Right.
these three important essentials of leadership are very important. There is a debate in business and academic circles about how leaders are made.
Mm-hmm.
We all want to know that, is there something which is so good? Is there some kind of a medicine that is available, or maybe a tablet, like we are all looking for the cure of corona,
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19? So similarly, we are all looking for that. I would like to be a leader. Yes, you can be a leader, but then it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Leadership
Absolutely.
doesn't come to you by just sitting in a cozy office and maybe reaching to the top by pure virtue of your contacts and other things. Leadership comes when you start spending time with your people. It is your followers who make you a leader. It is not other way around. You don't go and proclaim yourself to be a leader.
Mm.
People, they say that yes, you are a leader, and that is how leadership is defined.
Yep. That's an amazing points which you have shared about leadership, Tarun. And I would say, unfortunately, I think I haven't seen such leaders in my life. because been working in a corporate last 14, 15 years, I have seen more of managers than leaders. Managers, I'm sure, you go to Google and check the difference between being a manager and being a leader. So yes, leadership is a responsibility, and it's definitely not an authority at all. It's a huge responsibility, as Colonel Tarun was mentioning, right? And I really liked the point when you said, Tarun, that people, when they stop being selfish and being selfless, like serving a community, or going and giving their services, or doing something other than themselves and their family, I think that person is a leader. I mean, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So, ladies and
Absolutely,
gentlemen,
absolutely.
leadership is something, uh, nobody's going to give you a title. It's all about your actions, as Colonel Tarun was mentioning, right? Fantastic. So let's please type in the chat box how is the conversation that you're liking so far, so that I know who is there. I see 11 people who are watching our Facebook live. That's amazing. Naresh, welcome. Naresh says, Jai Hind, Colonel Tarun Sir. And Chandrasekhar Narayana Swami says, Jai Hind, Tarun. So, yes,
Jai
we,
Hind, Jai Hind.
and my next question to you is, Tarun, uh, I always had this question in my mind. How different is being in army and being a civilian?
Kumar, this is a very tricky question. When I started my journey about 3 years back and I started going to the schools, this was the question which one of the head of the institution of an international school asked me. She said that, Colonel, I want to know that why you are doing this, giving talks on leadership to the young impressionable minds. I used to tell them that I would like to talk to the young impressionable minds, and generally would prefer to have people from class ninth onwards till class 12th, because that is the time when they'll start understanding. Although we start developing and our behavioral aspects are already taken care of by the time we are age 7, but
Correct.
we start understanding the nuances of how to deal in this world when we are under stress, and the stress in our uh, layman terms starts coming to us 9, 10th, 11th, 12th standards in the Indian context.
Correct.
So what I saw was that people used to have a very different notion about that army does a lot for the country. Nothing wrong in it, and I'm all for it. But I said that for whom army is doing a lot, it is for the people of this country. And isn't it that very important for the people of this country to understand that when I am in the soldiering profession, my brother who happens to be in the civil fraternity, he is equally a soldier. You cannot fight battle only on one front, Kumar. We have to fight battle on all the fronts. Now, I don't want to veer up to the current scenario, but today we as a nation have to tackle the problem that is facing, staring at us. So,
Correct.
and we have to fight it as one. It cannot be that there are some inhibitions that we cannot do it. How cannot we support this thing or do that thing? No. As a country, we have to do it, and that should be our focus. It should be like in Mahabharata when Arjun was taking the aim. So he was only seeing the eye of the fish.
Right.
So in any scenario, when we as a country, we only get united when there is a threat to the sovereignty of our country. You're you are most welcome to disagree with me, but my three decades of experience, Kargil War, the kind of fight that we were having in Siachen Glacier, the kind of things that were happening in J&K in Northeast, one thing I realized was that most of the civilian fraternity was untouched by the gravity of situation that the soldiers were facing on ground.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I don't blame them for it, because it was only in 1999 when Kargil brought the battlefront to our dining halls and bedrooms. Prior to that, we were not aware of what was happening. Thanks to the media and to the social media, which we are so all very fond of. Today, we get to know a lot of things, and we have to use our discretion what to believe and what not to believe. But almost everything is there on our platter.
Right.
So I always mention and I always maintain one thing, Kumar, that we are like two tires of a cycle, and a cycle will be unbalanced if both the tires are not in right proportion. So the civilian fraternity is as much important for the support of the army fraternity. In fact, we have a beautiful saying that be an Indian worth dying for. And I generally qualify it by saying that why should I die for my country? Let my enemy die for his.
That's an amazing one. Wow. Fantastic. And Lakshman says, wonderful talk. Naveen says, really inspiring. Leave your heart, guys. Leave your heart, as many hearts as you can, likes as you can. And if you can, please share it on your wall. Please share this Facebook Live on your wall so that everybody knows what a soldier goes through and what an army man does for this amazing country, amazing nation. So share it, share this Facebook Live on your walls. All right. My next question to you is, we have seen this recent, Galvan Valley and China thing, the fights happening at the valley. What's your take on this, Tarun? And as a civilian, how can we, or how can I, or how can people who are watching us can actually support armed forces or this country?
Uh, it's actually a thing which I generally don't discuss in the open domain, but suffice to say, in this word, I do not know uh, how many of us value the values, but we were all brought up on certain value systems in our lives, isn't it? Our
Yes,
parents, they gave us what we call them as sanskars. So
Sanskar.
we were brought up on those. I know one thing very simply put. When I tell, when I interact with my civilian brethren, when I interact with my soldiers, when I was in the army, I always used to maintain one thing. Just because you are not my blood and flesh, I will not teach you something which is wrong. I never tell my son to steal, to, to lie, to do anything which was never ever taught to me by my parents, to steal. If I don't believe in these things and I don't impart the same thing to my children, how can I do it to my soldiers? Or to my, in the corporate world, how can I expect it from my subordinates?
Yes,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
absolutely.
Similarly, when two nations are dealing on an equal footing, these are two sovereign nations. We are not talking about their economic status, how much of GDP they have, what kind of defense forces they have. Even a tiny country is as sovereign as USA or as any of the large countries.
Hmm.
What is important is when you are dealing as two grown up adults, adult nations, there were certain things that were fixed, decided when India got independence. The Galwan Valley has been named after when the British expedition went to demarcate their boundary, they went through that area, and when they got lost, so this Ladakhi person by the name of Galwan brought them through this valley, and the valley was named after him, and it continues to do so. All the Chinese, they now try and call it by their Tibetan or the Chinese name, and we call it as Galwan Valley, but it is very popularly being understood as that, so we will use this term.
Right.
Kumar, in 1962, China tried changing the demography of this area.
Right.
Again, the point of contention was Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh. These were the two areas where India had a tiff with China. I would not go into the various battles and other things, but I can assure you one thing. What you saw on 15th of June, battles much worse in 1962, and for 120 odd soldiers at Chushul, where Major Shaitan Singh of 13 Kumaon, the Battle of Razangla was fought, I can assure you that more than 1,000 Chinese soldiers died
Oh,
after tons and tons of attacks that were launched and relaunched. Ultimately, there is a concept in war fighting and mountain fighting, and there is a war ratio. So you will run out of something or the other. And one person was sent back by Major Shaitan Singh to tell the story of the brave fight that the Indian soldiers fought at that post. And what we are seeing today at Galvan Valley was the recreation of that thing.
wow.
आप हमारा एक सोल्जर मारोगे, हम आपके 20 मारेंगे. But the point is not about loss is a loss, and a human life is once in a lifetime opportunity.
True.
And to tell you frankly, I have seen death at very close quarters. Once life goes, there is no way you can get it back.
Correct.
No amount of gratification, no amount of glorifying that particular event. The void is felt only by their families.
Correct.
Unfortunately, that is the way this nature has been created. So people, those who live on, they go on with their normal day-to-day lives, but their loved ones, they feel that void. In the Galwan Valley, what has happened is unfortunate. And again, India was stabbed in the back. It was a treachery. People have different views about it. The disputed area between both the countries is supposed to be visited through patrols. It is
Okay.
not supposed to be occupied. Why is it that always India keeps its part of the bargain, but not the other country? This
Hmm.
time, it was the culmination of this particular incident. Twice their tents were burned down by 16 Bihar. And when they realized that Indians are not letting them do, because as a big brother, China was expecting that, like earlier experiences they had with India, where we used to be on the back foot and we used to finally exceed that area to China. This time we didn't do that. And
Hmm.
rest is all history. Unfortunate. My heart goes out to the brave soldiers who laid down their lives. And we all can hear the snippets of those, their bravados. But the most important point is the beautiful point that you asked. Let their sacrifices not go in vain.
Correct.
This expansionist policy of China has to be reined in.
Mm-hmm.
Kumar, it is very important for most of us to understand that today China has problem with most of its neighbors.
Correct.
Tibet Autonomous Region was a free nation when India got independence. Under Mao Zedong, Chinese annexed that area. In 1971 and in 1962, they annexed the Exaichen area. Now they are trying to alter the LAC, the line of actual control. The difference between Pakistan and India is, with Pakistan we have a line of control where people are sitting. With China we have a line of actual control because there is a lot of no man's land. So you come and occupy. So the line of actual control gets altered.
Hmm.
Now
Okay.
people would not like to have that alteration taking place when there are two sensible nations talking to each other. There is a whole lot of opportunity that can be arrived at when two of the largest democracies and economies of the world, if they come to the war footing, you can imagine, it is unimaginable the kind of impact it will have on the world. But
Hmm.
then, are we a weak nation? Are we going to accept whatever China is doing? No. Your self respect is very important. We are not, and this is one place where I think we have taken a stand that, like in Mahabharata, they said that we will not give you even this much of land, no, like sui ki nok jitna zameen nahi denge. India
Hmm.
is also having the same stand today that we will not give you anything. We would like to go back to the status quo. You go back to your area. We were as it is in our area. We were not encroaching into the no man's land. So, why is it that India always tells or shows to the world that this is how we have to conduct? Now, the point is how we as a nation can take this
Yes.
battle forward. Soldiers are doing their bit.
Correct.
Suffice to say, the terrain is treacherous, the weather is very bad out there, the climate is inhospitable, we are above the tree line, there is hardly any oxygen which is out there. You generally go, you stay there for some time, but a longish tenure, longish stay is not advisable at those altitudes. Now, when I talk of as a nation what we can do, we have already, as a nation, taken a stand and we have banned 59 Chinese apps.
Yes.
Where we have to now hurt our adversary where it hits him most.
Right.
Any misadventure from both the sides is going to derail the growth process by nothing less than almost 2 decades.
Right.
If we have a 10 to 14-day fight between these two big populous countries, sorry, we are a democracy, they are not, we would be going back in time. I'm not talking about how big $1 trillion is the Chinese GDP and we are just 1/6 and 1/8 and 1/9 of them. No. When it amounts to self respect, there is no amount of money which is going to fall short of your expectations. You are not going to take down just because you cannot match them. And hence, there has to be an all out diplomatic effort, which we are doing beautifully. China's expansionist policy today is known to the world. It was such a beautiful statement the day when the China did this misadventure and both the sides they lost about 100 odd people or 80 odd people. Japan, they directed their missiles towards China. Taiwan came in support of India by showing that Rama was throwing arrows towards the Chinese dragon. USA has come in support of India. Rafales are being provided to India at a very short notice. So if you see the narrative, somehow, to me, as not only as a soldier but as a proud Indian, I say that we are having an edge over China on these particular aspects.
Super.
After the Prime Minister's visit to Leh Ladakh and his statement, without naming China, that this expansionist policy must cease forthwith, I think it is the most hard hitting statement any world leader can direct towards any nation. China must listen. There is no point getting into a skirmish, even any misadventure on this particular aspect. If somebody is thinking that India of 1962 is going to be repeated, I can assure them, hold your horses. You are in for a big surprise. You'll not know what has hit you. And we'll have you from all the sides, not just one.
Right.
Beware,
Right.
watch. This India is not the same India of 1962.
Hmm. Amazing. I mean, wow. There's so much that army person goes through, or the soldiers go through. When it comes to fights, when it comes to the things which happened at Galvan Valley. I think just by watching in the news channels, probably we judge something. Somebody sending something on WhatsApp. I mean, there's so much of noise around, but I think there's whole lot of lies and only very few truth, which is happening. Yeah. Thank you so much for answering my question. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Indian government has taken decision to ban 59 Chinese apps already. So I think it's time that we start understanding the seriousness of it and stop using whatever is coming from China, right? So as a civilian, I can only recommend or suggest that thing, right? And next thing, which I next or last question, which I wanted to ask is, what are the top lessons that you have learned? I would say top three or top five that you want to share with the people that are watching live or the people who are going to watch later. What are the lessons, top 5 lessons that you have learned being in army for 3 decades, Colonel Tarun? And which you
Well,
think,
Kumar,
yeah,
yeah, which I should share with everybody.
yes,
Uh, just summarizing my 3 decades of experience with Indian Army would be, in couple of words, would be actually a big injustice to my uh,
right, I know.
feelings for this organization. They say that uh, you can leave the army, but you cannot leave the army man behind. So the army, I can go out of the army, but army doesn't go out of me. So somewhere down, we will remain as soldiers for life. In the army, the most beautiful thing that I learned was that there are 3 things which were very important to us. They are called as mission, value, and pride. If you will ever pass through a particular army cantonment, you will find at places there would be 3 things in Hindi mentioned. We call them as Naam, Namak, Nishan.
Hmm,
Naam is your name, the name of your
now,
battalion, the
right,
the the martial race that you belong to, because in Indian Army we do not have religious affinities, but we have martial affinities. We have Rajputs, we have Mahars, we have Biharis, we have Sikhs. So, and religion, many times people they ask me this controversial question also, that Colonel, you say that we are religious, but most of the things you have, I said, we have a column called as religion because I ought to know what religion my soldier was. When he dies, many a times he would be disfigured, he
hmm,
would be beyond recognition. So he gets 2 plates, which one he wears on his neck and one he wears on his wrist.
right,
By the number on that wrist, it will be found out that who was this person and which religion did he belong to, so that appropriate decent last rites can be given to the fallen soldier. He has done his best by giving the ultimate sacrifice, and the least a nation can do is give him a decent last rite. So, what is important that I learned was that नाम was important, नमक, आप जिसका नमक खाते हैं उसके साथ नमक हरामी नहीं करते. So that
right,
was another important lesson that I learned. And the third thing was Nishan. So the flag under which you serve is very important. You live for this flag and you die for this flag. And there is a saying in our organization. They say that this flag doesn't flutter because there is a wind in the environment. It flutters because of the last of breath of each soldier that makes this flag flutter slowly and slowly. Every soldier who has given his life to serve under this flag, his breathing still makes this flag flutter. So this is the kind of emotions that we have generated over a period of time, Kumar. We talk
right,
about, in Sichin Glacier, we used to talk about that here great courage and fortitude is the norm. Now, these are not big sounding words. When you are at 20,000 feet, you are above the tree line, there is a scarcity of oxygen. You cannot take 15 steps. Walking 500 meters is a Herculean task. You ought to be mentally fit, mentally robust, not only physically fit. So these were the 3 things which I learned. And the most important thing which I learned in the army, which I would like to share with all of us out here, is we believe in the value system. So we invest a lot in our core values. And what are these core values that generally a soldier will talk about? The core values we talk about is integrity,
super,
honesty, honor, camaraderie. We are bred on these things. I would be failing in my duty if my buddy doesn't believe that I would be covering his back.
Mm.
And many a times people have laid down their lives just to ensure that the task that was assigned to him would have compromised or jeopardized the safety of the operations. So we
Right.
invest in these core values, and we appoint people, officers, to those training academies where they can bring about these core values into the budding officers, gentlemen cadets. And
Right.
by virtue of these core values being incubated in these academies, these officers, when they get into the mainstream army, they go and join their battalions, units, they percolate these values. The second most important thing that we learned in the army was it is not the top person who's most important. Yes, he's important, but that he's not the only person. Tomorrow, as a commanding officer, if I'm no more available, God forbid, I happen to face a bullet and I'm no more there, my second in command will take over. My
Mm.
second in command is not there, my 3IC will take over. There cannot be a decision dilemma at the most critical juncture. There cannot be a void in the decision making scenario, because a lot of human lives, lot of critical value adjustments would be at stake. When you are in a battlefield scenario, you have to take decisions on the go. You cannot be waiting for some kind of a PowerPoint presentation be provided to you. You will be thinking on the go. And
Correct.
that is the time. So what we do is we invest a lot in our frontline people. We invest a lot so that a havaldar, a sergeant, a petty officer should be in a position when time comes, because he would be the commander on ground when nobody else would be there. He should be trained in such a manner that he can take worthy military decisions. And that is the most important thing I learned. Another thing I learned was that we should assign job to the people based on their capabilities. This is
Mm.
something which I find in the corporate world, people are at variance. I want to project somebody without realizing whether he's competent to do so or not.
Correct.
I'll task him with that because it gives him a lot of leverage. He'll be visible. But how long? It was not
Correct.
his trait. It was not in his blood. It was not in his DNA. In army, we are taught, we learn how to identify talent and give people tasks based on their abilities. It's a very important aspect. It's a nuance that we must understand. Why? Because a person who might not be a good sports person might be a very good soldier, he might be a very good scout, he might be a very good pointsman, he might be a very good sniper rifle firing person. I have to identify what are the core competencies of my soldier. When I do these things, what I do is I know when I have to operate as a small team and when I have to lead as a commanding officer or as a person in charge. When I can delegate my responsibility to the small teams where somebody else will take charge, I will only give them orders to do a broad based orders. And the last but not the least, the most important thing that I learned was that discipline is very important in our organization. And
Mm.
why discipline? Because discipline ensures that you have pride in you. And Kumar, if you don't have pride in you, actually you are not worthy of being addressed as an human being.
Mm.
I'm not talking about false pride. I'm talking of pride that stems from your culture, that stems from your training, that stems from you having belief in your abilities. And this is the kind of pride, this is the kind of pride that comes to you because you are a disciplined soldier. You know when to open your mouth and when to keep it shut. You know when to open fire and when not to fire. You know when you can be at risk or when you can take that risk. Once you understand the subtle difference between how our actions are going to permeate the lives of soldiers around us, we become a disciplined soldier. And we generally lead by personal example. I'll give you a very fine example. In corporate world, I have generally seen people talking about, hey, have you seen that hill? How about let's all trying climbing that hill someday?
Hmm.
A lot of uncertainty. And it appears as though the person who is giving this, he is that person who is a leader by virtue of his position. But he doesn't want to move out of his cushy office. But he's coaxing his team to go there one day if they think they can do it. In army, if I was the one, I would be saying, hey, you see that hill? How about climbing to the top? And the first round of beer is on me, anybody who beats me up there. Now you
Hmm.
see the difference between things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here I'm talking about people getting into a competitive spirit. That's why we have a lot of sports competition, because sports competition, they not only help you in team building, but they also keep this competitive spirit alive. We have You have to have this kind of a support system where people can do a lot of things. If people can do this, I can assure you it would be wonderful. And these were the things which I learned. In fact, there is a whole lot of learning that I've learned. But just to summarize myself, I think these were the best 5 learnings which I got from the army.
Superb, superb. I mean, I just want to keep listening to you, Colonel. Such an amazing lessons, because I know the army life is totally different than being a civilian. You know, going to work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., coming back, just changing the remote of a television and having the chips and sleeping is, I mean, I know how difficult or how different it is totally. And we have our friends, commenting. So, ladies and gentlemen, core values. Army invests in core values. It's very, very important. They teach values a lot, right? Raj Mannar Mandayam Anand says, hope your inspiring talk rubs off the people listening to this talk, especially youngsters wanting to join armed forces. That's what he says. And yeah, I think Chandrasekhar Narayana Swami, I think, is he your classmate, Tarun? He says uh, Chandrasekhar Narayana Swami joined. I think he
Who?
said Chandrasekhar Narayana Swami. I am classmate of Tarun. That's what is mentioned in the comments. So probably you can connect with
Yes.
him. Yeah, you can connect with him. He's watching us. Sanjay Kumar Vardhaman, thank you so much. And yes, Jaswant Singh is actually requesting. He says, "Do you know Jaswant Singh, Tarun? He's listening to us. He says,
Yes. Yeah.
uh,
He's a wonderful person. I have learned a lot from him.
amazing.
I'll just take I'll talk a few words about Jaswant if he's listening. Jaswant,
Yes.
pardon me, I know you don't like it. When I was deputy commander, Jaswant came to me with a request, and Kumar, I will remain ever indebted to Jaswant because I thought that we as soldiers do a lot about our martyrs. Jaswant is one person, he runs an NGO called Matrabhumi,
Hmm.
wonderful name that he has kept. And under the aegis of Matrabhumi, every year during the Kargil Divas celebrations, he goes to the war memorial at Kargil and he does a motivational free show for the soldiers out there. I think, and it is without any support from anybody.
Wow. Wow.
I have learned a lot from people whom I came in touch while I was in the army, and I feel privileged, blessed to have friends like Jaswant. In spite of leaving that appointment and leaving my post, we are still in touch. Jaswant, love you. Bye.
Jaswant Singh, you are doing an amazing job, sir. Wow. Matrabhumi, an amazing NGO, and what you're doing is incredible. And yes, Chandrasekhar Naraswamy says IHM, is your classmate from IHM. Naveen Bhatia says, great learning for everyone, Colonel. Feeling proud to be your class buddy. He's Naveen Bhatia, right? And
Yes, he's my classmate.
fantastic, and everybody is watching you
Yes.
talk, Colonel Tarun. So it's really amazing talking to you, having a conversation with you. Thank you for accepting the request to, come live on my Facebook page so that youngsters learn a lot of lessons from army people, right? So, what is that one advice before we leave? What is that one advice that you want to I mean, I'm not going to leave you because one of your friend is actually requesting you to sing a song called "Pal Pal Tilke Paas." I think he wanted to sing the song. Yeah, just one. In fact, just one saying says, he wants you to sing a song. So, what is that one advice that you would like to give to the youngsters who would like to get into armed forces, Colonel? What is that one advice that you want to give?
Well, to all the youngsters and parents, I would say that army is not only a profession, it's a way of life. And it is a wonderful experience that you must expose your children to.
Right.
Unfortunately, most of the people are gravitating towards corporate words, and there is nothing wrong in it. But I would love to have India having the same culture like they have in Israel. Israel is also bounded by unfriendly people, and so is India. But
Hmm.
we have a lot of freedom out here. And whenever I used to interact with my Israeli counterparts, I used to feel that there is a lot that we can do for our people. I'm not proposing that is for the people in their respective appointments to decide whether compulsorily military service, some kind of exposure is necessary for the citizens of a country or not.
Absolutely.
I think it is. If Kumar, you would go back in time, you will understand that till George W. Bush, almost all the presidents of America, they had done some or the other amount of stint in the army. They were there during Vietnam War. Unfortunately, in our country, we don't have any leaders of that nature. And again, somebody is going to say that Colonel Tarun is going to ruffle a lot of politicians, bureaucrats, and other people. But I think the time is ripe. It is a wonderful profession. I believe and I humbly accept the kind of adulation, respect, the kind of feelings that I get is all because of my uniform and my service in the army and the time I spent in the service of the nation.
Oh, wow.
In fact, Kumar, when I was mortally wounded, and it was pretty long back, almost 27 years back. So I still remember as a youngster, the colonel of the special forces who came, he saluted me, and I was not in a position to get up. And he
Hmm.
said that you're a lucky bum. At least you are fortunate to shed
Right.
blood for your country. I'm
True.
commanding my unit. I couldn't reach that stage. So we all join this profession knowing very well that we may be called upon to go in for the supreme sacrifice. And I think knowing this and still donning the uniform is a big ask. It's a big call.
Hmm.
Today, people, those who are sitting in Galvan Valley, you think anybody is asking for leave? Anybody is saying that I would like to go back home? No,
No.
I'm hearing people, those who are volunteering to go there. Like I volunteered for the glacier, there are a lot of people, my kind of people, this tribe is increasing day by day. They want to go and do their bit for the motherland. And I would sincerely request parents, and if there are any youngsters watching this, that take a holy dip in the Ganges of Indian Army. See how it is going to transform you. No wonder we say it that do you have it in you? Because if you don't, you won't survive there for long.
Yeah, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear youngsters who's going to watch this later or who are watching now, yes, I wish, I could wish there was a time machine and I could go back into my teenage days so that I can apply into armed forces. So, yes, it's really a privilege to render your services for your nation. And I salute to all the army personnels, navy, air force, everybody who is protecting this nation, from our enemies. They're doing an amazing job. So, youngsters, fasten your seatbelt. I think it's time that you choose a different profession than sitting in a corporate, cubicle from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Right? Thank you so much, Colonel Tarun. for your time, and I'm sure people have enjoyed it. And before leaving, I would not leave you just like that, because your friend has uh, farmaish, probably that's what we call in Hindi. He's asking you to sing a song called Pal Pal Dil Ke Paas Tum Rehte Ho. Could you please sing it for us?
पल पल दिल के पास तुम रहते हो, जीवन मीठी प्यास ये कहते हो, पल पल दिल के पास तुम रहते हो.
Fantastic, fantastic. So जशवंत सिंह जी, मैंने आपका फरमाइश मैंने पूरा कर दिया फेसबुक लाइव पे. सो इट वाज वंडरफुल टॉकिंग टू यू. बहुत बहुत अच्छा लगा कर्नल आपसे बात करके. एंड प्लीज शेयर दिस फेसबुक लाइव ऑन टू योर वॉल्स. लेट पीपल listen to this conversation. Let youngsters get inspired to get into army and serve this amazing, beautiful country that we have. Thank you so much, Colonel Tarun, and Jai
Thank you,
Hind.
Rajkumar. Jai Hind.